Hey there, it's Kim at Carolina Sewing Back. Thanks for joining us today. I thought we'd get busy with a fall project today where we'll look at some simple applique work. If you've never done that, I'm just going to start with the basics on that. But the real treat today is that we're going to apply serger lace to the bottom of this project. So I hope you can see that. I'm going to walk you through how to do this, and if you're interested, you can go to our website, www.carolinasewingback.com, and click under projects, and this applique pattern is there so that you can print it out for free if you wanted to do something like this. So before you get started today, this is probably what we're going to need. We're going to need about a ½ yard of your runner fabric, a ½ yard for your hat applique here, and then about a 3-inch strip for whichever color you want to use on the band of the hat, and then our buckle is about a 3x3 inch square fabric, and we also have a star that hangs on this also, and that takes about a 3x3 inch square of fabric to cover that star for you. And then the agent that I use to heat this and keep it together to bond it is the Heating Bond Light. This is a product that we sell it in our stores, but you can get it at a lot of different places, and I found that for the applique work that I'm doing today, it serves really nice without gumming your needle up. So let's get started. Once you print your pattern off at our website, it'll look something like this. And then on the sides here, what I've asked for you to do is, you know, the paper is just limited inside. You just want to extend this out a few inches on the side. And that's entirely up to you. Your fabric may be cut a little bit wider than mine or whatever. So you can extend that out to make it work. And then normally what we do is we take our pattern and we trace this pattern onto our heating bond, okay? And then once your heating bond pieces are traced, they will look something like this. So we just trace that on the paper side of the heating bond. And then you can go ahead and clip these apart, and you can fuse this right to your fabric. And once you've done that, it looks like this. So you can see that we've just fused the heating bond right to the fabric, the wrong side. And now what you'll do is go ahead and cut on your lines, and you'll have your perfect applique piece. Once you've cut those lines away, then your applique pieces will look something like this. And I like the Heating Bond Light because what it does is when you get ready to peel this product away, it peels very easily. It separates from the fabric for you. So I usually just start on a corner, and then it leaves all that, see that nice shiny glue, it leaves all that glue on there for you. So once you put your hot iron on that, it's fused right down. So I went ahead and fused everything for us before we started today so that we could look at setting your machine up for the applique stitch. And so mine looks like this. And so these are only fused on, okay, not sewn on yet. That's the next step. So I've worked from the background forward, so you put your hat on first, fuse that on, and then your band and your buckle, and you position your star. And so you're only going to need 4 colors to applique this with today, and that is entirely up to you, whatever you want to use. Normally I use the same colors as the fabrics, so to show you how to just work through some basic applique, I've got my machine threaded up today with the gold, and we'll go ahead and do the gold buckle, and I'll walk through stitch length and width for you on that. Before we sew, I want to remind you that you can actually use regular sewing thread or embroidery thread from your embroidery machine, a 60 weight, 40 weight, just whatever you want to use. You can use silk thread. It's entirely up to you, whatever you want to use on your applique work. But it does make a difference if you'll invest in an open toe applique foot. An applique foot will give you an opening, and the sides of the foot come down around so you can completely see inside here while you're sewing over your project. Now we're just going to use a regular zigzag stitch, so you can set your machine up for just the regular zigzag stitch, and then we'll take the stitch length and width and adjust it according to what we want. So for the buckle, I'm going to use about a 3 width, so 3.0 on width, and my stitch length I'm going to put on about you can run this from as small as a 4 on up to a 6, just depends on how much opening you want on that. And normally when I'll start right on a corner here, And you want to let your needle fall to the right side of your fabric so that when your zig and your zag come in, they will just simply create a nice stitch for you right over the edge of your raw edge. And so I'm letting the right side of my needle fall off the right side of my applique piece, okay? When I get ready to pivot, I'm going to make sure that my needle is off the edge of that applique fabric so that I get a nice corner as I'm coming back down around this way. Now, because we've taken our stitch length to around 5, our machine may travel. The actual fabric itself will travel through the machine a little bit slower because the stitch length is not long. So that's why it takes it a little bit of time to get through there, but let your machine do that because it gives you a really nice satin stitch. It gives you the coverage that you need. So again, now we're coming to the corner of the buckle here. I'm going to stitch until the needle's on the right side of my fabric, and then I'm going to pivot and turn and come back down this side. And then normally what I do is I'll go ahead and cover all your pieces. You're going to go ahead and applique down all of your pieces, your black, your orange, and so forth. Now, before we, which I've already done on this side here, okay? So once you've gotten all your applique work done, we're actually ready to go ahead and move to the serger, which is what I'm going to spend my time on now. So I'm going to move over to the serger. So we're on our Baby Lock Victory today, and our Baby Lock Victory is just a basic 4-thread serger, but you don't have any tensions to worry about, and you have the jet air threading, which makes it really nice. But if you're at home and you're not on a Baby Lock and you're wanting to do the serger lace, we're just simply using our regular 4-thread overcast stitch with our left needle, our right needle, our upper looper, and our lower looper in. And so on my Baby Lock Victory, I have pearl crown rayon in my upper looper, pearl crown rayon in my lower looper, and regular serging thread in my left and right needle. So your heavy threads are in your loopers only, okay? And you're going to want to put your dowel settings on. We will not need any differential feed today, so please make sure that's on normal or in. Your dowel setting should be A. It's going to give you a nice wide stitch, and I want your stitch length to be on about a 3 and your width on about a 7.5, and that's going to give us a nice wide stitch. Now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch over our thread tail, and that will secure the beginning of our project as we begin our serger crochet. So I'm going to stitch over the thread tail, and I'm only going to lay just a regular 4-thread overcast stitch right on the edge of my hat. So right on this bottom edge right here to begin, I'm just going to run a regular 4-thread overcast, and lift your foot up and swing that thread tail all the way around and tuck that thread tail right in on top as your stitching begins, and that way it'll secure everything for you. And I want to make sure that my first stitch I take is diving into the fabric, okay? So let's go ahead and begin serging. As you approach the end, I don't want you to serge off the end. I want you to go ahead and take your last stitch on the edge of your fabric and then pull your needles all the way out of the fabric in the upright position, the highest upright position. Then I want you to lift your foot and tug on this just a little, and that will pull your threads out a bit so that we can flip this over and stitch down the back side. So we're going to just turn our project completely over, and I want your needle threads diving into the stitches you just ran. So when your upper and lower looper form their stitches, they're going to actually form it off the edge of your witch's hat, okay? I'm approaching the end, so I'm going to go ahead and take my last stitch, stop with my needles in the upright position, raise your foot, tug it a little bit, and flip it over. Position it again so that your left and right needle are going to dive into the crochet that's hanging off from your lower and upper looper, and that's how it will attach and begin to form your serger crochet. approaching the end again. So ready to bring my needles up. Lift your foot, tug it a bit, and flip it over. I'm going to go ahead and run about 10 of these so that you can actually see my lace beginning to form. Now, as you can see, I've stitched about 10 rows, and you begin to see that really nice serger crochet forming, and it begins to curl and wave on you. It is so fun to do. This is not an advanced project at all, so I would challenge you to get out there and try this. And then once you've stitched as much as you want, and that is entirely up to you. On the edge of your witch's hat, you could go 10 inches of serger crochet lace if you wanted to. It's entirely up to you. If by chance for some reason you get a little hole somewhere in yours, maybe you missed getting your needle threads in as you should have, you can simply put black thread in your bobbin and black thread in your top of your machine and stitch that with a 3-step zigzag stitch, and that 3-step zigzag stitch will drop a zig and a zag with 3 different places it stops, and it'll weave those back together for you nicely, so you won't have to worry about that hole. I do hope that you enjoyed today's project and that you'll try this little witch's hat. Don't forget that you can go to carolinasewingback.com and get your pattern. Click on projects and you can download your free pattern and print it out there and just follow the easy steps that you've seen in our video today. I always thank you for watching, and we so appreciate you joining with us today. Bye bye. It's Kim from Carolina Sewing Back.